take my mind. Welcome back to part 2, Change Tomorrow Today, the hottest podcast on the planet.
Oh, the hottest podcast on the planet. We still have Miss Eunice Flowers, the commissioner of North Miami Beach, sitting here with us. And I'm speaking into existence, you know what I'm saying? Because I believe she's going to win. You know what I mean? I don't mean to sound like a fan, but I believe she's going to win. You know what I mean? That's just my thought. So go ahead, V. Take it up.
Okay, Ms. Eunice, we were talking about so many different great topics last episode, but I know there was something that you wanted to touch bases on.
Okay, so correct, Arline. Okay, made a comment about the Fortune 500 companies, right, and how they're afraid that the children now aren't gonna be able to kind of like migrate into those sectors.
Right.
And that's another reason I went into politics, right? Because when you think about it, the baby boomers took up a lot of the seats. And even now, when you're looking at Biden, who was running for president, and now they had him step down, and it goes to show how a lot of the economic development for our generation was stunted because the baby boomers took up a lot of room.
Yes.
Right. So when you think about it, the baby boomers had the highest population in the generation of American society.
Yes.
Right. So they're the most people that Americans ever have seen. And so when it was our turn, there were no seats.
Right.
For us, right? You had to wait.
Yeah.
Even in the Fortune 500 companies and politics, when it came to police work, when it came to being a teacher, a lot of those things we had to wait for, right? So a lot of us became, in school, they had this running joke, we became professional students, right? So you see in our generation, a lot of people have multiple degrees,
right?
And it's because we would go into the work sector and there was no space for us. So now we had to get another degree to try to fit in somewhere else, wherever there was some type of space, right? And so that's part of the reason why I enter politics, because now the older generation, they're retiring out of this stuff. And our generation we've never been in politics.
Right.
So now is the time for us to step into the waters.
Yeah. Step in, learn, and make it better.
Right. And then for us to now kind of reel in the ones underneath us as well.
Yes. So yes, I agree. Baby boomers are kind of going out.
Yeah.
God bless you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless.
I feel like the COVID babies are going to be the new baby boomers.
You think so?
A lot of babies were born
during COVID.
Yeah, it was.
It was nothing else to do
because you were in the house. Yeah, exactly.
It was a lot. If we could get a census,
it's a lot
on how many babies were born during COVID, I really do think
I'm gonna look that up.
It's gonna be. They're gonna be the new baby boomers. It won't affect us.
Irresponsible, just irresponsible.
But
how is that
irresponsible? Excuse you.
I have something to say about that, but yeah.
I have a COVID baby, so you know.
I do have a question.
Yes.
When you do become commissioner, right? What's your goal? Like, what is it you're trying to accomplish as far as in NMB that you see that's missing, and you like, if I'm elected, this is what I'm going to bring to you guys?
So I want to. The same vision that particular family, I'm so sorry I don't remember their names, had for Wynwood, because there's a family that changed that entire neighborhood, right? It was a father and his son, and his daughter, excuse me. And in the early 90s, so I went to a business luncheon, and she happened to be there. She was the keynote speaker.
Oh, wow.
And she gave the story of how her father went into that neighborhood. It wasn't Wynwood then. It was like Little Haiti,
right.
Little River type neighborhood, nothing but a bunch of warehouses. And went into that neighborhood, stood in the middle of the street, and she said it was empty. Like you could take a bowling ball and roll it down the street and it would roll for miles and miles and miles. That's how empty it was. And her father was like, this is gonna be an art district. And she said she was so frightened, and because there were a bunch of homeless people on the street laying there. And she said there was absolutely nothing there. And she said, we're not even from this city. How could you stand here and say something like that?
He made it
and
happen.
Only for a couple of years later for it to change, and it became Wynwood. And so I'm thinking something similar for North Miami Beach, because we're known as the drive-through city. Yeah, North
Really?
Miami
I did
Beach.
not know that.
Yeah, everybody drives through North Miami Beach to get to everywhere else they want to go.
You got a point.
So that's why it's called the drive-through
Oh,
city.
You got a
okay.
point.
No one actually stops, and especially now that 163rd Street Mall is dilapidated,
Yeah.
no one stops in North Miami Beach for anything. There's nothing there. You guys think about it. When's the last time you're like, oh, I'm going to North Miami Beach?
I used to go all the time because my hairdresser was there, but thank goodness she moved closer to me.
You see?
But yeah,
So
I see
there's
your
nothing
point.
there.
yeah, she had a business there. And
Wow.
she
I see
left.
your
But
point.
yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is with the arts and culture portion,
Mhm.
I want to bring some art into public spaces
Mhm.
so that way we can have parks where people will actually want to stop,
Yeah.
and take their time. And then I'm hoping that it would also bring small business owners
Mhm.
into the city, because I would love a soul food place, right,
Okay.
in North Miami Beach.
Mhm.
And then so we can just start doing a couple of things economic wise in the
Mhm.
city to bring or highlight our city.
Okay.
So that's my thought.
Now, with that, I know that North Miami Beach tends to be quite diverse right now, right? It's like a diverse area.
Yes, it is.
So, what is your plan in addressing the needs of North Miami Beach residents, being that everybody's so diverse, so that we can foster a more inclusive community?
So the plan again goes back to the arts and culture piece,
Okay.
right? It's highlighting the diversity in a way where it's celebrated
Okay.
and not just tolerated or frowned upon, right?
Mhm.
So I know that we have a large Jewish population, and a lot of
Yes.
people don't know about their culture. So because I've been there for so long, there are a lot of times during the Sabbath,
Mhm.
because I've had like Jewish friends, and I've studied it's not just a religion, but it's a culture as well. It's a
Right.
way of
Yes.
life for the Jewish people. And so I've driven around sometimes near the temple during
Mhm.
Sabbath, and I think about their safety, because I'm a mother, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
so you see them walking because as part of their culture, part of the religion, they're not allowed to drive cars.
yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
allowed to do business on the Sabbath.
Mhm.
Certain things.
Mhm.
So when you look at it, and you're like, man,
This
they're
is not
doing
safe.
it's
Yeah.
not safe, right? So
Yeah.
we need more safety
Yeah.
in the neighborhoods for the
To protect everyone.
yeah,
Right.
for the
Including
Jewish
them.
people, right?
Yeah.
Because their culture, like, they try to keep it tight within
Yeah.
themselves. They all live in the same area. They build their temples in the same area, so
Mhm.
that way they can try to keep that safety portion within themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's like those are some of the things that we need to highlight,
Yes. I
right? So
agree.
that if you're not Jewish, like this is what they do,
Yeah.
and as a community, we need to protect them.
Yeah.
Right?
Education. Yes.
Education is key.
Yeah. Because if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
I like that. Okay. Now, what challenges are you anticipating? Like, you knew you were getting into this race. You're like, oh, this is something different. This is a new realm for me. But so, what challenges are you anticipating facing during your campaign, and what is your plan to like overcome them? Other than being a public servant and being well known, I'm pretty sure those challenges are forefront.
Okay, so the biggest challenge is going to be the resistance to change, right?
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, I know that, for instance, they tell you that if you go into a company, right?
Mhm.
Like you were talking about the
Mhm.
Fortune 500 companies, you go into a company and you want to change the culture of the company. You don't automatically come in as a dictator
Right.
or a totalitarian.
Mhm.
Yes.
It usually takes about 2 years before you come up with a plan, you have your blueprint,
Mhm.
and you begin to implement that
Right.
plan
Mhm.
to change the culture. It takes 2 years from the start of that plan to the
Yeah.
finish
Yeah.
in order to even get the people acclimated
Right.
into that
Because if you come
culture.
in like a dictator, it's gonna
Yeah,
be
It's gonna
resistance.
lose the people.
it's gonna be a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
So I'm anticipating 2 years, but
Okay.
in that 2 years time, what happens is, in our city,
Mhm.
our seats they stagger.
Okay.
So this year we have all the odd seats are up for
Okay.
reelection, and then the next 2 years the even seats are going to be up.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it staggers,
So you'll
right?
still be in your seat
Right.
as the even seats are up for
Reelection. And so that's another change or challenge
Right.
that I'm thinking about, because I'm going to start off with some
group of
people, this group of people to make a certain type of change or
Yeah.
impact
And
in the
then
community,
poof,
and I can have their buy-in. But then
Right.
in the next 2 years,
they're
once
gone.
that culture has actually started to change,
Yeah.
those
Someone else
people
comes
may
in and
be
says, "No, I don't want it."
those people may be gone.
I have
Oh
a
my
question
goodness.
because I'm not really well versed into politics, local or whatever. What do you mean by the even and the odd? What's the difference between the even and the odd?
Okay, so it's called the dais, right? The group of commissioners is called a dais. So on the dais, our dais, we have seven people. You have 6 commissioners and a mayor, and
Okay.
it's an odd number. Why? Do you guys know why? Why is it an odd number?
Huh.
Think about it. No,
Just-
my
Is it
teacher,
for
my
when you
inner teacher is
stagger it?
coming out.
Is that what it is?
So it's an odd number because a lot of the decisions are made by voting. That's
Gotcha.
democracy.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And so you never want to have an
Even,
even
yeah.
an even
Oh, 'cause
vote
it- 'cause
because
you
then
gotta-
there's
you gotta-
no
Got
there's
it.
no decision being made,
Got it.
Gotcha.
right? So you always have seven. It's
Like
in
us with 5. Yeah.
Mhm.
right. And so I'm so sorry. What
The
was
difference.
that?
What is?
What was the
the
oh
odd?
okay. So you have seven seats and each seat is numbered.
Okay.
So I'm running for seat 7.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Group 7, seat 7.
Gotcha.
So I would be, number 7 on the
Okay,
dais.
okay.
So then there's seat 1, there's seat 2, seat
Right.
3,
4, 5,
right.
6.
But right now
So-
we're only the
the
election is
odd,
for odds.
the
So
odd
1,
seat.
3, 5, 7.
Yes.
Okay.
1, 3, 5, 7.
That's
Okay.
good. That's good. That's a good number. 7.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
7 means
Yes,
perfection.
perfection in spirit realm.
So
Yeah,
that's good.
come on, look at you. Don't get
be
me
mine.
excited, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was a good question, Ralph. I mean, I think
Wait. Why you saying it like that? That was a good question.
it was a good
It was
question.
enlightening to her.
Yeah,
That's what she
because
meant.
I don't.
I'm just this is what you said like that was like she
No,
was
it was
shy.
it was a good question. Because I'm not very well versed in politics either. I'm not someone who I don't discuss politics in group settings.
And you shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm a very silent
Yes,
person.
you
Right.
should always be.
Yes.
That's being political too.
Yeah.
Just knowing when
Okay.
and where to speak about it.
Oh
Yeah.
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 So that was a good question. I never even thought to ask that question. Have an answer for it.
Nah, I wanted to learn because I didn't know.
Yeah.
But that's good. So that is a challenge. I see that being a challenge because once you start getting the ball rolling, someone that has the ability to come in and kind of stop it. Hopefully, we're gonna hope that doesn't happen. You're gonna win this year, and then the person that comes in behind is gonna be right on board.
Right.
Hopefully.
The new group.
And if not, challenges are good sometimes.
Another quick question: how long do you hold your seat for? 2 years?
Commissioner 4
4 years?
4
in North
years.
Miami Beach. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So every municipality has their own rules. So we're special here in Dade County because we're in Dade County. Then there's the city of Miami. So people, when people think of Miami, they're thinking
It's all one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's the county, Miami-Dade County.
Right.
That's right. Because remember, it used to be Dade County, but then they added that Miami a few years
yeah,
ago.
Yeah.
So just to delineate the two. So you have Miami-Dade County, and then we have the city of Miami,
Okay.
and then we're the city of North Miami Beach. So we're a municipality within the Miami-Dade County.
Right.
So the county has its rules that we have to follow in terms of elections, and then we have our own rules, which is it's called a charter. Right. So the charter tells us like what we can and what we can't do
for the city of
for the city of
Good
North
to
Miami
know.
Beach.
Okay.
Now
Good
that
to
I
know.
knew.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to know.
Okay, so how can residents, because we need our residents, we need them to vote, we need them to get out and really participate.
Yes.
Just understanding what you're trying to bring to the table, I feel is going to be very beneficial for anyone living in North Miami, right?
Yes.
North Miami Beach. So how can the residents get involved in your campaign? Like what role, I would say, do you see or would you like for them to play when it comes to achieving your vision for North Miami Beach?
Okay. So they can go on www.euniceflowers.com, right? And they can sign up to become a volunteer. And we need volunteers to call for phone calls because remember, this is a personal campaign. So we're touching each person, one person by...
Got you.
One-on-one. Okay. So we need people to knock on doors.
Okay.
After I leave here, I'll be knocking on some more doors.
Okay.
I knocked on doors yesterday. I've been knocking on doors. Yes.
Okay.
And the response has been great. But so we need that. We need people to also if you can donate, that would be great. I've had people donate in-kind donations, meaning that it's not monetary, but more physical, like material things. I had T-shirt donations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so I'm excited
that's
about.
good. Now I do have a question because North Miami Beach, the culture, I don't know all of the different cultures, but I know that there is a heavy Haitian culture there.
Yes, there's.
And I know that the elders sometimes, kind of how we were talking about on last episode, they've come over here, they really just want to stay head down, focus, do what they have to do. So how has the response been from that age group, I would say?
With okay, so the history of North Miami Beach, right? North Miami Beach, even though it's called the drive-through city, it was really known for retirement. A lot of people moved from the northern states to North Miami Beach because of the weather and then because of where it's located. So it made it the perfect place for retirement. So we have a lot of older people in North Miami Beach. And if you know anything about older people, I love older people. So when I was in high school, I made it my business when they said that we had to volunteer. And I will always find the nursing homes and I would go volunteer at a nursing home because at the nursing home, the older people, they're going to give you stories.
Yeah.
And I love stories.
Okay.
Right? I'm also a writer. Like I write books and stuff.
Okay.
So I guess maybe that was that whole thing for me. And so with the older generation, they're more personal. So knocking on doors works for them.
Okay. I just want to say that because I don't think with the group email, they're not.
No, they're
like,
not. They're not
responsive.
into. They're not into emails and things like that. But newspapers, remember, they're the newspaper generation.
Yes.
So those types of things work with them as well.
Okay.
So it all depends on the crowd that you're trying to reach. Like our generation, we're not personal.
No.
Right.
No.
So.
We're not though. Is this true?
We're not personal. So I remember when I was growing up, and then when I would go to church, the pastor would be like, "Listen, you know, he's a baby boomer pastor. Listen, don't ask nobody. Don't call. I mean, don't text my phone asking me for money.
Oh.
Right? So that generation doesn't want you to text to ask them for money. But me, please text me if you need something. Right? We're not phone call type people because I don't know. I guess maybe we have like anxiety and things like that in our generation. So you have to know
the generation.
The people that people that you're trying to reach, and then you have to know their culture.
Because I feel like the younger generation knocking on doors wouldn't necessarily work. They're always gone. They're always out and about. They're always on the go.
Right.
So a text or email works just fine.
It works great. Right. So with the younger crowd, I'll knock on the door and they're home and I can see them in the window looking at me. Through the window because they're like, man, we don't want to open the door. But I get it because I'm that generation. So I'm like, okay, I'll just leave it on the door and then you can look, you know. But the older people, they'll open the door. Oh, baby, you want some chocolate, you know. So you just have to know who you're reaching out to.
Let me ask you a question. Speaking on the older people, is there any programs set in place for the for the baby boomers to go and hang out?
They do. They have They have a summer camp now.
They do
this year. Yeah,
really?
the older
Really?
the older crowd. They have a summer camp, and one of our guys that we know. I don't know if you guys know. Yeah, you guys should know him. Yeah, it used to be K&D. David, part of the K&D. They were the workout people.
Name sounds familiar.
Yes, the K&D. So he does.
About Kevin Bowe.
No, not Kevin. The D, which is David.
Oh, Kevin's not involved.
No, so David does workouts for the older people in the community.
Good.
So they come out to the city hall and then David like pumps them up. They do yoga.
That's
and
good.
all that
That's
stuff.
good.
So
Because the reason why I asked you that question, because a lot of older people are lonely.
Yeah.
They
some are widow and they don't have anyone to speak to. So implementing a program like this, give them the opportunity to
meet each other and sit.
Give them something to do.
It does.
Right.
It does.
Yeah, I love that.
They do. They have luncheons. They have a bus that picks them up and drops them off like from their house to any programming, but it has to be before 5:00. Any programming that's done in the city, so they do. We have programs for them in the city.
Good.
Well, I know I asked you a lot of questions.
Yes.
I have one more question. Okay.
Yes.
So, what are your thoughts on the current state of the local government in North Miami Beach? And whatever that current state is, what is, I guess, one of the biggest things that you're trying to bring for as far as a positive change to that?
Okay. So, generally speaking,
Yes.
I believe the largest issue that we have in North Miami Beach is that the residents are uninformed, right?
Okay.
So, because the residents are uninformed, you're going to always find the same group of people running for office and running things in North Miami Beach.
Right.
So, if you look at the US Census,
Mhm.
right, for North Miami Beach in particular, it tells you that the majority of our residents only have high school diplomas.
Oh wow.
And so what ends up happening is that because government work, right? So
Mhm.
even let's say they're not commissioners.
Mhm.
Let's say that we want our residents to work in the city.
Mhm.
That way they know they can have more of a buy-in,
Right.
right? So we want residents to work in the city because it's their city. They're going
Yeah.
to care because they're residents. And so what happens is because they have high school diplomas and the city's asking for bachelor's degrees, they can't work in the city.
Right. So now they don't have that
They don't have-
information, those tools, everything that would have been accessible to them is completely
Right. So a lot of the city workers aren't NMB residents. So what happens is it becomes just a job for them.
right.
So okay,
They wanna go back
I'm
home.
I'm putting on an event and it's not really a priority to make sure that the residents know that this event is happening.
Wow.
Right? So I'm not going to try to reach out. I'm not going to like we had issues where you couldn't find events on social media.
Because no one cares enough to even yeah.
Right, because first of all, it's just my job. I'm
Yeah.
coming to do my job and I'm going home. I'm not
Right.
doing more than that.
Yeah.
Right? And
not
you
my
know,
community.
you can't blame them.
Yeah.
Right, it's not their community.
Right.
So if we could get more of our residents educated to a place where a lot of them are
Yeah,
getting
they
more
can
bachelor's
qualify.
and then they can come back work within the city
Mhm.
and a lot of things would change.
But okay, but let me say this. But why not
Yes.
loosen the requirements? Because not everyone is college material.
Okay.
You
So
know?
remember that
Mhm.
even though this is a government, right? It's a
Right.
nonprofit. A
Mhm.
nonprofit is also a business.
Okay.
And in order to stay afloat in business, in the
Mhm.
business world, you
Mhm.
have to be competitive,
Right.
right?
Right.
Mhm.
We already don't have the money to pay like other cities pay.
Mhm.
So off of that already we're losing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then to hire people who I don't
Mhm.
want to say they're not qualified because
Mhm.
experience can qualify you,
Right. Right.
correct?
Exactly.
Experience can
Mhm.
qualify you, but then now what happens is we're not as competitive. So
Right.
we can't pay the same that
Competitive rate.
other cities are paying
Mhm.
because they're asking for certain qualifications and
Okay.
it doesn't make sense to pay someone with a high school diploma the same that we would pay someone with a bachelor's degree. If that makes sense what I'm saying,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Because the bachelor's is a base rate.
Right.
So if I'm paying a high school diploma person,
you're not even going to get paid a rate that's even acceptable. To
right?
be
But then
honest,
what if when somebody comes with a bachelor's degree, I can't pay them the same rate.
that I pay
Mhm.
you.
So
Yeah.
now you get what I'm saying? So now, okay, so if you come in with a high school diploma and I'm paying you $25 an hour because that's what the job is asking for.
Mhm.
Now, when someone with a bachelor's comes in,
You're gonna have to pay them more.
I'm
You
gonna have to
don't
pay them
that
more.
money.
Where do we get the money?
Yeah, you don't have the
Mhm.
money.
So you have to think about it from a business standpoint as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
So the
So-
best thing to do would be to educate those within the community. Hope that they would want to
Mhm.
get the
Mhm.
education,
Mhm. Mhm.
so that way they can actually fill those positions and
Right.
care about the community.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's a
Okay.
task in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a task because sometimes people leave cities and they never come back.
They don't come back.
Right.
Mhm.
So and then if they don't see the value because other
They're
people
not
aren't
gonna
seeing,
come
they're not
back.
gonna come back. Yeah, that's definitely. Oh wow, that's pretty tough though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a task in itself.
It's a lot that goes into running a city.
Oh my
People
gosh.
don't think you so they're like, oh, I come home and I pay taxes and they
that's
think
it?
that's it. But there's so much more to it.
Wow.
There's so
Wow.
much more.
Okay.
Okay.
Gentlemen, you guys got any more questions for Miss Eunice?
No.
I'm just listening.
I'm learning all types of stuff today.
Yeah, I know,
'cause I'm
right?
not really like
I love
versed
it.
in politics. That's really not my
Mhm.
thing.
But it's not politics. So what I've learned is when they say politics, they're talking about the gossip portion. Everything else is stuff
Oh
that you
no,
already
I don't.
know.
I'm not into the.
Yeah.
I'm talking about as far as because everybody's running for something. That doesn't
Right,
include
right.
you, but nobody has clear plans. Like you have a clear plan in what you're trying to do, but most people are just doing it just for the position and
Right, for the
Title.
The
status,
status
of
for
it
the
all.
money.
But you're doing it because I could tell it's for the passion and you love the city.
I do.
Right.
I
So
love
And you
my
grew up
city.
in
I
North Miami
grew up in North
Beach.
Miami Beach.
And you never left the city.
I never left the city.
So it only makes
It sounds kind of bad when you
Yeah.
say it like that,
No,
right?
but that's
no,
good.
but that's good.
You need
That's
more
good.
people that
Yeah.
are,
But
you know,
you
still there in the city, willing to actually
Yeah.
contribute and
But-
assist to make the city better.
Yes,
But you left for college though, right?
I did.
You just came back.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
came back. I was in Tallahassee for
Okay.
for school.
Right.
and
But then you came back. Like, I'm going to go back home.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think when I look at it, I probably would have gotten into politics sooner.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole thing of most of us are still in survival mode,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So
What do you mean by that?
meaning it's that same mentality that our parents instilled in us. You go to work, make sure your family's taken care of,
Oh,
and that's it. Everything else is not your business,
Right.
right? That's for somebody else to figure
Stress,
out.
worry.
worry about,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So
like, as you just described, it's a lot that goes into it. So
yes,
if you don't really have the passion for what you're doing, I feel people will see through it.
but that's not necessarily true.
No, you don't think so?
Yeah, and you know why? It's because most people are in survival mode. So
they're not even paying attention.
they don't have time to actually sift through
Mm-hmm.
anything that's
Candidates.
untrue,
Right.
anything that's not real.
Right.
Well, I
Right?
appreciate you for just having a plan. I feel like every question I asked, you had an answer,
Yeah.
or at least you were able to give us a
Mhm.
description or help us understand what you
Yes.
see in the value in which you see in North
Yeah.
Miami Beach, what changes you want to implement. That's important.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you talk to people that are running,
And they have no clue.
they have
None at all.
it's
Yeah.
like it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's space. It's space and air.
but I will say if NMB gets you as its commissioner,
They'll be happy.
they'll be very happy because
Yeah.
you
Thank
love the
you.
city
Yeah.
and you're a loving person and you're a
Mm.
caring person.
Yeah.
So you got my vote.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Same
you.
here. You got my vote, Eunice, and
Yeah.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you
You
so
know?
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This was great. I think this was a great conversation.
Yes.
Much needed.
It is.
When is the election?
It's November 5th.
Okay.
And I'm dedicating my campaign to people like Ralph, right? Yeah. I was saying people like Ralph. No, I'm saying it in a light, jovial
Yes.
way, but
Yes.
it's really heavy because if we had someone like me,
Mm-hmm.
during the times when we were growing up, I
Right.
feel that a lot of the guys that I grew up with wouldn't have been in the positions that they were when we were children.
Right.
Oh,
So
okay.
even though we did have Sun Devils and we had people to pour into them, I think the city government needed to have more buy-in
Right.
in the stakes, because when I was in college, right, and I know we gotta go, but I got a phone call
Mhm.
that there was a particular apartment that was raided. The entire apartment was raided in North Miami Beach. And out of that apartment, it had to be about 75% of the young Black boys in that apartment were brought to the feds.
What?
Right? And I feel like our city should have had more of a say-so in what was
Yeah,
going on in
a
the
much
youth
more
back then.
influence, yeah.
Right. Because they had the money, they had the programming, right?
Much more than now, and they didn't utilize it properly.
Right. So my campaign is dedicated to them, right?
Okay.
The guys who used to let me sit on the block with them, and they would let me like preach to them,
Right.
like, nah, we could live different, we could live
We could
better,
do
and they'd be
better,
like,
yeah.
Eunice, that's great, just sit here with us or whatever, and because we were that latchkey generation, our parents
Yeah.
were at work,
Yeah.
and we only had each other, so
Right.
because we had each other,
We were our brothers and sisters, even
Right.
when we weren't
Right.
brothers and sisters.
right, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
my campaign is dedicated to them.
Before we get out of here, where can we find you on social media?
All social.
So my campaign social media is Eunice Flowers for North Miami Beach Commissioner Group 7. Okay. So
Okay.
it's long, but it's very specific. So I'm
Okay.
running for Group 7, that's seat 7.
Okay.
I'm running for commissioner, not mayor.
What about
Um,
Facebook, Instagram?
Instagram.
So that's Facebook. Instagram is Vote Eunice Flowers.
Vote Eunice
Okay.
Flowers.
and that's about it.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
you,
it.
you have a number? Anybody they could reach you at if they have any
Oh
specific?
no, they can message me on
Okay.
Instagram has
email.
direct
Yeah.
message.
Okay.
Okay.
Gmail
Okay.
account? Nothing.
So email is info@uniceflowers.com.
Okay. Y'all
Okay.
gotta
Okay.
get
So
at
they have
Eunice.
it.
I'm telling y'all,
Hmm.
if you get Eunice in there, you guys will definitely be happy.
I'm gonna
man.
win.
Yes,
So
you
when I
are.
win, you guys are gonna ask me to come back.
Oh yes.
Yes.
And then when I win, you guys are coming to the
Oh
party,
yes.
right?
Oh yes.
Like we're
course.
gonna all celebrate.
We're
Okay.
gonna celebrate.
On the
Okay.
day of
You know, I'm gonna
election,
be-
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
looking for your name
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the ticker.
I'm
Yeah.
bringing.
You know, the
I'm gonna
news and
bring.
they have
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ticker. I'm gonna be looking for your name.
I'm gonna bring the
Most
grandma. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
definitely.
Do that.
Well,
And Vic gonna bring the coffee.
Yeah, do that. Do
every
that.
time. Gotta keep everybody awake.
So
All
we're
right, well,
good.
this is our time. We want to thank everyone for watching.
Mm.
Go ahead and do you guys a spiel. Let's
Oh
go.
man, y'all already know, man. We want y'all to please like, comment, subscribe. And as my player partner always say,
Hit the like button.
you know that ding.
Mhm.
You know.
And please subscribe, guys.
Yes, we appreciate you
Yeah.
guys for rocking with us. The channel's growing tremendously, and we appreciate it all. We love y'all. Please remember Eunice Flowers, Commissioner of North Miami Beach. We're gonna speak into existence. Make sure you guys
Yes.
go out and support her and show her love. She got my vote, man. Again, I don't want to sound like a fanboy. This is the best right here, man. For real, for
Mhm.
real. If you know, you know. With that being said, we love and appreciate you guys.
Thank
Peace.
you.
Peace.